What's been your experience as the final bride? Yep. I learned from all of their headaches and had a tiny wedding. No regrets. Lol. I came to write this. My husband and I decided to elope to our favorite place with only our immediate family members. Since we didn't have a big wedding, I was able to splurge on the things I really wanted, like cabin lodging, a photographer, and an incredible dress. Best decision ever, and zero drama or headaches. Yes, we did our at the Oregon coast. Splurged on beachfront houses, dress, and photography. Only immediate family was present. It was perfect. This is a great question. I wonder if anyone who was the last friend in their friend groups to get married felt like there was the same energy and excitement for them that other people got when they got married earlier in life. I will be the last of my friends to get married. If I ever do decide to get married, I've spent thousands of dollars and countless hours towards bachelorette parties and trips, showers, engagement parties, wedding gifts, etc. With a lot of my friends now entering their having kids phase of life, one of my biggest insecurities is that no one will be able to commit the time and money like I did for them when they all got married. Or if we'll be too old and it'll feel too silly to do all of that. Yeah. The wedding season in my life is just beginning and I can already feel the enthusiasm die down with each new friend getting engaged, but that could just be me projecting my own general disinterest in weddings. If and when I decide to get married, it'll probably be a small thing with family and closest friends, and then a honeymoon away. I think I'll already be feeling elated at having found my person to begin with. That's enough for me. That's a great perspective. I think I'd do a small wedding as well, but I would love to have someone plan a really fun bachelorette thing for me. I'd love to go to a cabin on a lake and have a really fun weekend with my friends. I have never heard of this term and had to go look it up, which didn't work because apparently not even Google has heard of it. Can you explain what you mean by this phrase? I thought it meant the husband's latest and final wife. It was great. Most of my friends got married in their mid-20s, and I got married at 33. I had a kid-free destination wedding, and honestly didn't expect many people to show up. But people went all out to celebrate with us. Most hadn't been to a wedding in a while, and when you're not going to 8 weddings in a single year, the ones you do attend feel more special. This is such a great point. I'll be one of, if not the last woman, to get married in my friend group next year. My friends were overall pretty chill about their weddings no matter when they got married, in part because we were all generally broke and in grad/professional schools in our 20s lol. No one really went crazy with bachelorette parties or anything, and I was told on multiple occasions when I was coming from out of town, usually multiple states away, that my presence was the present. Please don't feel like you need to get us a gift. So even though we are older now and have decent paying jobs, I plan on telling them the same thing. And honestly they are all super excited to talk about my wedding planning. They say it's a nice break from parenting and toddler stuff, haha. Maybe the only difference is that I don't plan on having a bouquet toss, since the only single ladies will be a couple of younger cousins. I also think it's a silly tradition and no one ever seemed excited to participate in any of the bouquet tosses I saw over the years. I plan on doing the decade dance, having married couples on the dance floor. The ones who have been married the longest stay the longest on the dance floor, and giving the bouquet to the couple that has been married the longest. Honestly super excited to hand it off to an older couple who probably hasn't been celebrated in a while. Where I live people don't really get married anymore, so marriage is not even in my plans. Just out of interest, where do you live? Canada, the French part. Here women who are married are not allowed to take their husband's last name, and it's pretty common for the kids to use both their parents' family names. Nobody even uses the terms wife or husband but rather partner. I've never even once heard these words here lol. Yes. Some of my out-of-state friends couldn't make my wedding because they were close to or had recently given birth. On that same note, I will be the last to have kids, so my kids will be younger than everyone else's, and I'll miss out on them all going to school together, etc. I'm the only one of my friends without a house, because they were already married in 2019 to 2021 when it was so much easier to buy. I wanted to wait until I got married, and now we are priced out. My husband and I will have less time to just be married and travel, save money, etc. because we have to rush from wedding to buying a house to having kids in order to stay comfortably ahead of my biological clock. Also, now I'll probably have to retire later than my friends because my kids will be in school/college later than everyone else's. I try to just accept that I'm on a different timeline, but it's been a bummer that I haven't really been able to express to anyone before. Positives: my wedding was really fun because I got to learn from everyone else's. I've never heard of this term, but I was the final bride. It didn't make any difference. Perhaps there was more love and enthusiasm since people finally had high-paying jobs and were looking to celebrate from the weariness of being 30 with responsibilities. I also invited people of all stages in life: old friends, new ones, elderly friends, new parent friends, colleagues, single and paired. No one felt uncomfortable, and it was unbelievably beautiful to see such a diverse group of people come together for me. Not really, but my friend group isn't huge, and most of us has largely low budget DIY weddings, and none of us had crazy bachelorettes or showers or anything. I was one of the last to get married at 30. Now the first round of divorces are starting. We had a tiny wedding, no friends, only parents and siblings, and I'm one of the last in my friendship group to get married. My friends have been so hyped and excited for us. I've been genuinely floored by the love and support we've received. Depending on your age, you're unlikely to actually be the final bride because many of those earlier marriages are gonna end and they'll remarry. I've never been married, but half of the marriages from my friend group have already ended before I had my first. The singles ladies dance/bouquet tosses pretty IMT. I love this question because I will be the final bride. I've been in several weddings and I've learned a lot. I have a list on my phone of things I want to do differently. For example, I will provide food to the bridal party when they're getting ready. Real food. I had to go from 6 AM getting ready to a 4 PM ceremony having nothing but a blueberry muffin. Not fun. Little details like that. I want my wedding party and guests to feel comfortable. So much advice from friends. Over the past decade I've gone to their weddings and noted what I liked and didn't. And getting married in our 30s, we have no pressure to have a huge super expensive wedding. $10K with 100 guests. Pretty much everything but food, music, and photographers DIY. We can't justify spending more, and we look at it less like the most important day of our lives, and more like we are throwing a big party that we are getting married at, and we are excited to see our family and friends. As long as we get married, have food, and have a party, whatever happens happens. I got married in the gap where my early 20s friend group was drifting apart and the married ones were all settled/having kids, and before I'd made new circles in my 30s. It was definitely a bit sad that no one was available to help me or celebrate me the way we'd all done for past weddings, but it was a natural part of that age. No shower or bachelorette party, for instance. But I also had seen a lot of weddings get out of control, so I was able to plan what I actually wanted and had a small fantastic wedding. No regrets. Nobody from my closer friends group is married, nor planning to get married at all, so this problem doesn't exist for me at all. What I did see, and what was really weird, was those who got married in their 20s and having kids young hearing from their partner that they are not as fun anymore and promptly getting divorced afterwards. This thread is really interesting. I got married at 32 and was one of the first in my group of 10 friends to do so. I know this isn't the norm, but still interesting to comb through the responses. Most are still unwed now, but in long-term partnerships in their mid to late 30s. I do live in a very high coel metropolitan city though. I've been to weddings, not in my tight circle, throughout my 20s and 30s, and my biggest observation is people in their later years have more money, but also more family obligations in their 30s, children, aging parents, mortgages, etc. The weddings, bachelorette parties. Engagement parties are grander in scale, but it's also likely that a few their closest friends can't make it. Pregnancies. Demanding schedules. Not quite the same, but I've been married twice. First wedding was a formal, evening, ballroom sit-down dinner wedding with all the bells and whistles. Second wedding was a tiny park wedding with a potluck. Nothing planned after the 15-minute ceremony, except a time everyone had to clear the park rental space. Guess which ones my guests, all who had attended both of my weddings, preferred? The tiny, casual wedding. By a long shot. No fuss. No muss. Me and my husband planned our wedding start to finish in 6 weeks and spent $1,300 on it total. No bridesmaids or groomsmen. It was a breeze. Clarifying question. Can someone define final bride for me? I assumed, try not to laugh, that this term meant your partner has been married before multiple times. And you resisted marriage because you're gonna be stuck with me till the end. Lol. Be gentle. This is the first time I've heard this term. /U0001f3. Mine was mostly the same as all my friends. Initially excited to plan the wedding and have fun. Then as time went on I realized what a stressful drag it was to plan. And by the end I wished we'd just gone to the courthouse. One thoughtful friend, who had gotten married about a year before me, remembered how she and her husband didn't get a chance to eat any of the food they'd spent so much money on, and saved a plate for me and my then husband. Second time around, we went to the courthouse, saved about $15k and a lot of stress. I went to all of my friends' weddings. I can say that not all of our friend group chose to attend their weddings. I was the first bride, so it was a different experience because we all live in different states. My previous marriage was a courthouse wedding. It worked for us. We are divorced now, but the next time I'm getting married, it will be a wedding that's beautiful and planned. My wedding was fun and very unique, but I feel like people were worn out by 8 to 10 years of batch trips and having kids, that for my pre-wedding activities didn't feel like people went all out for me. They came to my batch weekend, but wanted to go to bed by 9:30 p.m. when I was excited to go out every night to celebrate, so that was disappointing. My wedding decor, bridesmaids, food, ceremony etc was extraordinary because we knew ourselves very well, and the whole thing was authentically us. Plus we could afford to have a big budget wedding.